Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this video, we will be breaking down the Rift meta one node at a time. So as the title says, this video is dedicated to Neuromancer, a natural dark diamond Painwheel that has been a huge force in both Rift offense and defense. Unlike my previous Rift video guides, the format for this video will be slightly different because to be able to defeat Neuromancer, you first need to understand the strategies to defeat Painwheels in general. Painwheel as a character is designed as a glass cannon with low health points and incredibly high attack, but she is blessed with synergistic catalysts and marquee abilities that turns her into an absolute defensive monster. The two marquee abilities of Painwheels, namely Tainted Blood and Grudge, both activate upon getting hit by a critical hit. Tainted Blood is highly dangerous as it reflects damage, while Grudge gives her stacks of armor and enrage, making her durable while bolstering her already high attack stat to greater levels. Both marquee abilities have their own strengths, and it is always a mystery to know which marquee ability that your opponent chooses for their Painwheels in defense. Just to be safe, it is always recommended to not use any moves that increases critical hit rate to avoid both abilities altogether. Sometimes it is unavoidable as we do have an inherent 20% crit rate when we max the skill tree of our fighters. That is why it's always recommended to use fighters that has a way to heal any health back when dealing with Painwheels, especially when we take into account Painwheel's character catalyst, Don't Poke the Bear. Don't Poke the Bear is one of the best character catalysts you can have in the game. It prevents your Painwheels from suffering more than 10% damage while also reflecting damage when you do go over that 10% threshold. That is absolutely insane, considering that Painwheels have very low health points and you have very little knowledge on your opponent's stats. You'll have to do a very rough estimation on the maximum attack you need to avoid losing a bunch of health. So just to recap, these are the things that you need to watch out for in your fighter to be able to fight Painwheels well. The first is a minimum amount of critical hit rate. The second is not too much attack, which is not really intuitive honestly. And the third, it is always recommended to have a way to heal your fighter back from reflect damage that might be unavoidable. Okay, so quickly back to Neuromancer. In addition to the above things to watch out for, Neuromancer also has a pretty crazy signature ability that allows her to turbocharge a blockbuster by hitting you when you block. Yes, you heard me right. Neuromancer punishes you for blocking. This makes facing Neuromancer incredibly difficult if you're relatively new to the game and not used to the play patterns of the AI. Unlike most other Rift monsters, facing Neuromancer is not just about using a specific variant with the right signature ability. Not every playable character is suitable to be used against Painwheels, and it also highly depends on the way you play these fighters and mastering their gameplay to avoid getting punished. And this is why there will be a greater emphasis on a character and their gameplay rather than their signature ability alone. If you're having trouble facing Neuromancer, then I highly advise you to really pay attention to the following clips and how these top veteran players pilot their fighters to defeat Neuromancer with ease. First, let's go back to the drawing board and talk about Squigly, one of the better fighters to use against Painwheels. Squigly is a fighter with lower than average attack but higher than average health. She is a multi-hit fighter that can deal long chains of combos to keep the opponent in the loop. Multi-hit fighters are great against Painwheels because they tend to deal tiny little damage with each hit, which is perfect to counter Painwheel's catalyst Don't Poke the Bear. In addition, Squigly also has tools to deal with buffs and counter Grudge Painwheels by removing stacks of armor and enrage through a variety of special moves such as Silver Cord and Dragon Bite. While any Squigly fighter works, Bioexorcist is especially recommended because her signature ability provides healing which is invaluable against Painwheels, especially tainted ones. Okay, so let's look at how top players choose Squigly against Neuromancer. First up, we have Kevin with Lovecrafted. The match starts with a grab attack to push Painwheel far. A single use of Silver Cord pulls Neuromancer close and starts the long combo chain with Dragon Bite, removing those Armor and Enrage from the Grudge Marquee ability and allows Kevin to go for the kill with a normal attack. Next we have Keith with Bioexorcist. Keith starts off with a block, but once there's an opening, they start a normal ground combo and a launcher followed by an air juggle before pulling Neuro closer with a Silver Cord and finishing it off with a blockbuster use to secure high points with this very clean gameplay. Finally, we have Mopey with another Bioexorcist clip. Upon tag-in, Squigly used a grab attack on Painwheel to flung her to the end before using a perfectly timed Dragon Bite to intercept. This sets up for a very nice ground combo before following with a second Dragon Bite and finishing off with a Dragon Drop and Inferno of Leviathan. Next is Valentine, which in my opinion is the best fighter to use against Painwheels. Not only is she another low attack fighter, she is also a multi-hit fighter with access to bleed inflicting moves to indirectly wear down Painwheels. Although she doesn't have the same combo potential as Squigly, she makes up for it in the form of her ICU Marquee ability, which grants her amazing recovery to counter all the reflect damage that can't be controlled. Out of all the Valentine variants, Silent Kill is a great variant to counter Grudge Painwheels and eliminate those armor stacks, but Assassin's Greed is the safest choice as she has even more recoverability on top of ICU, making her a premier choice to fight Painwheels without fear. First, we have Randomizer with Assassin's Greed. Randomizer starts off strong with a full ground combo and a launcher with a burst to inflict bleed and activate Assassin's Greed's recovery. Then proceeds with an aggressive mortuary drop to inflict some damage and repeating it again followed by a burst, which unfortunately did not inflict bleed this time around. A final mortuary drop flunks Neuro one last time before Checkmate Incision secures the win. Next we have Chaco with Assassin's Greed again. Chaco starts with a block followed by a normal ground combo and then using Dead Cross to inflict bleed and gain that massive regeneration ability. Another ground combo followed by a Checkmate Incision inflicts more bleed and allows Chaco to push forward and use a mortuary drop followed by a ground combo to deal the final blow. Finally, we have Randomizer with Silent Kill employing a very similar strategy as before, using multiple mortuary drops to be aggressive and get those hits in as much as possible while making use of Silent Kill's signature ability to get rid of those buffs gained through Grudge. It is often difficult to guess whether the opponent has Grudge or Tainted Blood, but checking their choice of catalyst will often provide a clue. In here, the opponent has Curse of Knowledge, which inflicts your fighter curse when they gain a buff. This may indicate that Grudge is the chosen marquee ability, and using Silent Kill here is a very great choice for the randomizer. The next recommended fighter to use against Painwheels is Eliza. Eliza has average attack but is blessed with an incredible play pattern through Sekhmet and access to Chaos Banish, one of the best buff removals in the game to face against Grudge Painwheels. Since her attack stat is slightly higher than the other two characters, it is important to be mindful of her attack stat when facing Painwheels. The best variant to use for Eliza is Diva Intervention. Her incredible ability to recover health while in Sekhmet mode and to drain meter for an easy blockbuster spam is invaluable against Painwheels, especially Neuromancer. With a single blockbuster use as Sekhmet's charge, you can easily fill up her tier 3 unblockable blockbuster for a quick blockbuster finish bonus. For the first showcase, we have Mopey with Diva Intervention. The match starts slow with a normal ground combo, followed by a launcher and Chaos Banish to deal some damage early on. Once Nero starts to get back up, Mopey takes on an aggressive turn by using a charge attack followed by a single Sekhmet and a grab to push more damage. Sekhmet is incredibly powerful here because her charge attack is unblockable and staggers the opponent, allowing for an aggressive open attack to start ground combos. Once Firefly enters the match, Diva uses Sekhmet's charge attack to stagger Firefly while filling up all her blockbuster meter, which allows for a tier 3 unblockable blockbuster to be used. The Blockbusted Catalyst is doing some work here and makes it difficult to spam Sekhmet again and again, but Mopey played this incredibly well with quick successive changes to make use of all her Sekhmet blockbusters while filling up some meter and health in between. As Firefly's health starts to drop to critical levels, she decided it's time to switch and go for the kill with a teammate's blockbuster instead. Another Diva intervention showcase is from Climax and the Solo Neuro node. Climax starts strong with a normal ground combo followed by a launcher and ending it with a Chaos Banish to get rid of those armor stacks. With the meter fully charged, Sekhmet can come in with an axe to deal tons of damage followed by a charge attack to quickly bring Neuro down. Finally, we have Standout by Mopey against a triple Neuromancer node. Standout is another good option, but only if against Grudge Painwheels to absorb their buffs and gain easy meter. However, do be careful of the damage as Standout has a pretty respectable attack stat that can easily go over the 10% threshold from Don't Poke the Bear. While she does have a way to regenerate her health, she needs to have her health lower than the opponent, which honestly, against Painwheels may come pretty easily. Just pay attention to how much health Standout is able to regenerate with an unblockable tier 3 blockbuster here, while filling up all her meter again from the opponent's buff that she eats. This is an incredible clip and I'm going to be quiet now and let you guys enjoy the rest of this fight. Next, we have Beowulf, which honestly is a bit surprising because his attack stat is above average, which makes it super easy to deal more than 10% damage against Painwheels. He does though have access to a variety of command grab moves and moves that cannot crit. During hype mode, his throws are also unbreakable, which makes it very easy to be super aggressive and prevent Neuro's abilities from activating. The only variant that is viable against Painwheels is Weekend Warrior. Not only is his attack stat on the lower end of the other gold tier Beowulfs, he also has a pretty sick ability to gain various buffs, which includes heavy regen, immunity, and final stand, which together is all absolutely perfect against Painwheels. I honestly believe Weekend Warrior is one of the best options to use against Painwheels and Neuromancer in general. To show his gameplay, we have LordOozy here with a gold tier Weekend Warrior that just keeps on spamming wolf shoots and grabs to get those hype stacks and immediately activate his signature ability to gain all those buffs. The armor stacks are subsequently removed with one of Beowulf's blockbuster that inflicts armor break, and once that's gone, Lupin Pummel comes in to deal significant non-crit damage, and the process is pretty much repeated over and over again while sustaining maximum health points. Lastly, we have LemonJelly to showcase the exact same strategy. Wolf shoots are incredibly important for this to work, and multiple of them are highly recommended. Be sure that your Weekend Warrior has very minimal attack to reduce the amount of reflect damage you suffer. Don't be afraid to be super aggressive and just keep on spamming them and activating your hype mode to gain survivability. I think there's very little things to be said about this strategy, as it is very easy to pull off and incredibly effective right now. For the final fighter of this video, we have Filia, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have never used Filia against Painwheels before, but the following clips have shown me that it is possible. Filia is a multi-hit fighter with an average attack stat that is most often known for her bleed-inflicting moves. But against Painwheels, Leech is the marquee ability you want to recover health, which is super crucial. She also has Drill Tempered, which is one of her best blockbusters to inflict multiple hits while having a chance to remove buffs to counter grudge Painwheels. The variant that I've seen this work is only with Jin Frizz because she makes use of Leech very well, and her random buff generation will often provide defensive buffs such as regen, final stand, immunity, or even invincibility to recoup all the health that may be lost. So first up, we have Angelluzo with Jin Frizz. Jin Frizz has one of the highest attack stat in the game, so it is important to keep her attack stat in the minimum when facing against Painwheels. The use of Drill Tempered here is invaluable to get rid of those grudge buffs while dealing some significant damage. A blocked attack from Gregor Samson and Hairball still dealt quite some chip damage, but the opponent tags out and tags in Fly Trap, which is immediately grabbed to deal tons of damage, followed by a powerful Hairball and a ground combo to finish it. The next time Neuro comes in, a perfectly timed intercept with a launcher and a Drill Tempered finishes her off well. Finally, we have Matsuru with another Jin Frizz clip. The match starts with a grab attack and then a perfectly timed intercept to launch Neuromancer into the air, followed by a Drill Tempered to get rid of those grudge buffs. Blockbusted comes into play here, which is really annoying, but another intercept and ground combo followed by Ringlet Spike puts Neuromancer at a critical condition. Flytrap tags in and is met with a ground combo to the face and Gregor Samson to inflict stacks of bleed. A Brave Widow's Peak here inflicts both Cripple and Armor Break, which removes those grudge buffs. Once Flytrap is down, Neuro is left with only a sliver of health, and a few back and forth followed by a minor combo puts Neuro low enough for a block Drill Tempered to do its job to finish her off. Alright y'all, that is the end, which concludes the third video of this Rift Guide series. The format for this video is slightly different from the last two because I wanted to emphasize the fighter more so than the variant used, and that is because of how Neuro works. The way you pilot these fighters and using the tools that they have in their disposal is super important, and I hope you learned something from this. At the end of it all, practice makes perfect, and the more you face Neuromancer or Painwheels in general, the more you will understand the AI's gameplay pattern to combat it well. As always, I want to give a special shout out to the players who have climbed the Rift ladder and recorded their fights for this video. Feel free to follow their social media accounts or their own YouTube channel, as they often have more videos and tips for Rift that I am unable to cover. I will put their links down in the description below, and anyway, thank you all for watching, hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.